Hey, Doug. Is this the new Cherokee we've been hearing so much about?
Nope. It's the new Grand Cherokee.
Cherokee, Grand Cherokee. What's the difference?
Well, just look. You can't help but notice how aerodynamic this vehicle is. Its rounded body panels really give it an updated look. And by smoothing out the edges and making use of flush-mounted glass, they reduce wind noise, too. Yet it still looks like a Jeep vehicle, which is what our customers expect. And Tom, just like the Cherokee, you don't have to worry when you take this baby off-road. It's designed to be a sport utility vehicle. The Grand Cherokee even uses the same tough uniframe construction used on Cherokee. This also helps it to weigh in at a lot less than any of the competition.
But hey, we've been hearing for years how great the Cherokee is. I mean, look at all the awards it wins. So why replace it?
Nobody's saying the Cherokee isn't a great vehicle. And the Grand Cherokee doesn't replace it. It gives us one more great Jeep vehicle to sell to a whole new group of customers. Like people looking for a little larger vehicle. The Grand Cherokee is nearly 8 inches longer than Cherokee, and much of that is due to its longer wheelbase, which will help give Grand Cherokee customers a more car-like ride.
We both know that most of these vehicles never leave the pavement. They spend all their time commuting to work or hauling the family.
That's true, but with a turning diameter of under 37 feet and 8.2 inches of ground clearance, the Grand Cherokee, along with Cherokee, has the ability to go where a lot of other sport utilities can't. And with 3 models to choose from, the Sport, Laredo, and a Limited, there's a Grand Cherokee for just about everyone.
So they've restyled the Cherokee to help it appeal to even more buyers.
Tom, you've got the appeal part right. But it's not just restyled. This is a whole new vehicle. And it's built in a brand new plant, designed from the ground up just for the Grand Cherokee.
I've heard about those state-of-the-art plants. It can take them a while to get all the new gadgets working right.
Well, Chrysler has heard about those kind of problems too, and that's where this plant is different. Chrysler picked proven technology from the best plants around the world and used it when it made sense in this new plant. And the people putting the Grand Cherokee together, one of the most experienced workforces in the business.
That's different than a lot of new assembly plants today.
That's not all that's different. See these door openings? Other sport utilities use several different pieces to create this part of the vehicle. The Grand Cherokee uses a single stamping. This assures better dimensional tolerances and a good fit every time. The attention to detail is incredible. At this plant, quality is an ongoing process. And the Grand Cherokee is built to last. Every body panel, except for the roof, is constructed out of steel that's galvanized on both sides.
Corrosion protection just doesn't get any better than that.
The doors. They're mounted on special hinges that allow them to be removed once the vehicle has been painted. This allows the people assembling the interior more room to work and reduces paint damage. The assembly line's even designed to help out the workers. It does things like tilt the vehicle to make underbody assembly easier. So you get a product that's not only put together better, it's put together smarter every time. The end result is a quality vehicle.
You know, my neighbor's looking for a new vehicle for his family. I tried to talk him into a Cherokee, but he said he needed more room.
If he's looking for more room, then he should be looking at a Grand Cherokee. Its rear bench seat is split 60-40 to provide cargo hauling versatility. And it has 7.4 more cubic feet of cargo space than Cherokee when the rear seats are folded. These wraparound doors allow for a larger opening that makes getting in and out of the vehicle a snap, even in the back. While you're there, check out the new location for the drip molding.
This integral drip molding can make for a quieter vehicle.
And the loop-type door striker is stronger than the old bar type and is less likely to grab your clothes.
I was concerned about that. How does a striker in these new hinges affect door adjustments?
The only real difference you'll notice in the hinges is that the lower one incorporates the door check, so there's actually one less component than on the Cherokee. As far as the lock striker, the service manual recommends that all minor door adjustments be performed by moving it. That's something different from Cherokee.
Hey, this is easy. And roomy. Comfortable, too.
More shoulder room than any of the competition. Nearly 5 inches more hip room in the back than in Cherokee, and in front, more hip room than any of the competition.
What, are you trying to tell me something?
Only that somebody looking for comfort in a sport utility vehicle doesn't need to look any further than Grand Cherokee.
Grand Cherokee has taken sport utility luxury and turned it up a notch.
Just look at this instrument panel. It has all the gauges you'd expect in a Jeep product. And controls for the headlights, wipers, and rear defrosters are all positioned right next to the steering column.
That's nice. And I like the speed control on the steering wheel. And what could be more convenient?
This.
A heater?
No, an automatic temperature control system. It's standard on limited models.
I thought that kind of thing was only found on luxury cars, not sport utility vehicles.
Grand Cherokee will change the way a lot of people think about sport utility vehicles. With this system, the customer dials in the desired temperature. The system does the rest. The temperature is automatically maintained. There's even a solar sensor that helps the system compensate for the additional heat passengers feel on a sunny day. And the fan control gives you a choice of speeds when in the automatic mode, or the option of completely overriding the system. The climate controls for vehicles without the automatic temperature control system use the same large rotary dials that make operation, even when wearing gloves, simple. And every system includes demister vents built right into the front doors to quickly clear those side windows.
What's this just below the automatic temperature control?
It's the Driver Information Center. It's standard unlimited and displays the time, date, and monitors several vehicle operating systems like doors, rear lamps, oil, coolant, and washer fluid levels. It even can be programmed to remind you when your vehicle is due in for service. It also gives you another indication of which mode the transfer case is in.
So you get the transfer case indicator only on Grand Cherokees equipped with Vehicle Information Center.
No. All Grand Cherokee models include some type of display that illuminates to indicate which mode you're in for each of the 3 available transfer cases.
3 transfer cases?
We'll talk about that a little later. But while we're on the subject of luxury features, you'll want to take a look at this trip computer. It's standard on limited models.
This console looks a lot like the one found in Cherokee.
It does. And it includes the compass and outside temperature readouts you're already familiar with. But what it adds are the trip odometer, fuel economy, and elapsed time functions that can really come in handy when you're out on the road.
I see from the receiver that the Grand Cherokee offers the keyless entry system, too.
It's standard on limited models, along with the security alarm system, just like on Cherokee models.
Hey, isn't that one of those automatic mirrors?
Yeah. It's the optional night vision safety mirror. It automatically adjusts for the glare from a trailing vehicle's lights. There's a sensitivity setting for the system here.
And let me guess, it's standard on Grand Cherokee Limited.
While we're on the subject of mirrors, Grand Cherokee offers the power ones we like so much. They're even heated on limited models. And there's an automatic headlamp system available. It uses a sensor mounted on the instrument panel to turn on the Grand Cherokee's headlamps as ambient light decreases, and includes a headlamp delay function when leaving the vehicle. Of course, there is a manual override for the system.
I guess they thought of all the creature comforts when they designed this vehicle.
Including a quiet ride. The aerodynamic design isn't just for looks. Smoothing out those corners and adding additional rake to the windshield should really cut down on wind noise, too. And insulation of the hood and body panels, coupled with thicker body side glass, helps the Grand Cherokee provide the quietest ride of any Jeep product.
Does this thicker glass create any service problems with the doors?
No. In fact, the Grand Cherokee uses screws and bolts in many of the places where the Cherokee used pop rivets. So you won't have to spend time drilling out fasteners on the Grand Cherokee.
I'm all for that. You know, Doug, you've almost got me convinced about this Grand Cherokee. Its styling, durability, even its luxury features. But I'm concerned about this airbag. Now, I know you've worked with it before, but I mean, I've just heard some things.
Well, Tom, when it comes to something as important as airbags, you should act on what you know, not what you've heard. And when you look at the facts, airbags make sense. Face it, safety is a big selling point for today's buyers. The Grand Cherokee is the only vehicle in its class with an airbag. It's just another instance of a Jeep vehicle leading the way.
But what about during real off-road driving?
Well, the system is specially calibrated for off-road driving. Look, who knows more about airbags than Chrysler? The system uses an airbag module, a pair of front impact sensors, a diagnostic module in the center console, and a clock spring mounted in the steering column to provide added protection for the driver in frontal collisions at 12 miles per hour or more. During a frontal impact of 12 miles per hour or more, one or both of the front sensors provide an input to the diagnostic module. An additional safing sensor in the module also provides an input. Of the three sensors, the safing sensor is the most sensitive to sudden deceleration. During a frontal collision, one of the two front impact sensors along with the safing sensor in the diagnostic module must be triggered before the airbag can deploy. When these sensors are triggered, the diagnostic module sends an electrical current to the airbag module mounted in the steering wheel. There, sodium azide pellets are ignited and produce nitrogen gas. A diffuser in the module cools the gas and directs it into the airbag, which is made of nylon with a neoprene coating. Of course, all of this happens quickly. In fact, within about 1/10 of a second after impact, the airbag has inflated, stopped the forward motion of the driver, and started to deflate through the vents on the back of the bag. Now, naturally, seatbelts should always be worn. They keep the driver in a position where the airbag is most effective.
They also provide protection in situations where the airbag won't deploy.
Like frontal collisions of less than 12 miles per hour and impacts from the rear or side of the vehicle.
What about service? I'm sure there's some kind of special care we need to take when working with these systems.
There is. Whenever working on an airbag system or the steering column, disconnect the negative battery cable and isolate it. This is the one sure way of removing power to the system. There are other situations where you'll need to disable the system. The service manual spells it all out. And when removing the airbag assembly, wait at least 2 minutes after unhooking the battery before beginning work. This will allow the system capacitor to completely discharge. Also, when handling an undeployed airbag module, always keep the trim side pointed away from your body, and always set down an airbag module with its trim side pointed up.
What about that nitrogen gas that inflates the airbag? Isn't that stuff dangerous?
Not really. It makes up 80% of the air we breathe, but that does remind me of something else that's important. Deployment of the bag does leave a powdery sodium hydroxide residue. This may irritate some people's skin. So when cleaning up after an airbag deployment, be sure to wear long sleeves and rubber gloves. Use safety glasses to keep the stuff out of your eyes, too.
Well, I guess this airbag makes the Grand Cherokee the safety leader among sport utility vehicles.
It's not just the airbag. Grand Cherokee comes standard with the Teva's four-wheel anti-lock brake system. This allows the driver to slow down as quickly as possible and still maintain steering control during hard braking.
Don't other sport utilities come standard with ABS?
Some do, but many of their systems are rear-wheel only, and that doesn't do as much to help you maintain steering control. And the anti-lock brake system on both Cherokee and Grand Cherokee operates in four-wheel drive. Many others don't. Doesn't it make sense that in those poor traction situations, when you need ABS the most, you'll be using your four-wheel drive capabilities?
A lot of things about this vehicle make sense, like the center high-mounted stop lamp and the child safety locks on the rear doors. I guess when it comes to safety, the Grand Cherokee will send the competition back to the drawing board.
And the customers to our dealerships.
Hey, this Grand Cherokee's really roomy under the hood. It's nice to see somebody designing a vehicle with us in mind.
And you don't need a road map to find your way around either.
It does look pretty familiar under here.
That's because the Grand Cherokee uses the 4-liter engine with multi-port fuel injection. Combine the Grand Cherokee's light weight, courtesy of that uniframe design, with the 190 horsepower the 4-liter provides, and you've got dependable performance that can't be beat.
The kind of power the other guys can only wish they had.
And get this, those new reformulated gasolines you've been hearing about?
The blend's designed to reduce vehicle emissions?
The 4-liter isn't going to need any redesign to run on them. It does right now.
It's good to know that my Cherokee experience is going to pay off in servicing this vehicle. But there's something different.
That's the anti-lock brake module for the Tevis system.
On Cherokee, it's under the instrument panel. So this must be the S-Spec back here.
Yeah, except you'll be hearing it referred to as the powertrain control module more and more. It's part of an SAE program to standardize terminology.
Well, I hope this is still called the Power Distribution Center.
It is. And it includes that important ignition off-draw, or IOD fuse we're familiar with. But here's something new from Chrysler service engineers. Never install an IOD fuse or reattach the battery cable to any Jeep vehicle when the ignition key is in the on position. The resulting power surge could damage some of the more sensitive modules.
I'll have to remember that.
While we're talking electronics, do you recall the Chrysler collision detection bus?
Yeah. Isn't that some kind of network that allows components to share information with each other? Cherokee has it. I remember. It uses a pair of twisted wires that came out of the S-Spec, or powertrain control module.
Exactly. Well, on the Cherokee, the Chrysler collision detection bus didn't have a lot to do other than link the powertrain control module with the security alarm module. Now, on the Grand Cherokee, the Chrysler collision detection bus takes on a lot more responsibility. The automatic temperature control module and the trip computer in the overhead console are added to the system. In fact, the mileage and fuel economy figures on the trip computer are actually generated in the overhead console with information supplied from the powertrain control module. The information is sent along the bus.
Makes sense for the vehicle to use information it already has instead of requiring a whole new set of sensors for each component. Speaking of new components, doesn't this air conditioning system use that new refrigerant R134A?
And boy, we have to make sure we don't treat it the same as the R12 systems.
I went to the certification course, and it's really not that bad. The recycling equipment and manifold gauge sets for the R12 systems won't even fit on these vehicles. The R134A requires a completely different set of gauges and recycling equipment. This will help prevent mixing the refrigerants and contaminating the system. And while some of the components may appear similar, they are not interchangeable with components from R12-based systems.
I think most of the problems will come with the oil.
Yeah, put the wrong oil in one of these systems and you can kiss the compressor goodbye. Fortunately, it's pretty difficult to confuse the two. The polyalkylene glycol, or PAG oil, used in Grand Cherokee comes in a smaller container. Because this stuff really absorbs moisture, you should keep the container tightly capped when it's not in use. I get the feeling something's missing under here.
Like a prop rod?
Yeah.
The Grand Cherokee's hood is counterbalanced and uses a clock-type spring incorporated into the hinge. Lifting the hood is easy, and the prop rod, well, it's just not necessary anymore.
Hey, I mentioned the Power Distribution Center a couple of minutes ago, but where'd they hide the fuse box on this thing?
Get this. It's here, just inside the passenger door for easy access. And there's a relay center in the glove box, just below this removable access panel.
Looks like they were thinking of guys like us when they put this one together.
There are a couple of other important changes you'll need to be aware of on the Grand Cherokee. The modules controlling the automatic headlamps and security alarm are under the instrument panel on the passenger side of the vehicle. And the transmission control module, which was on the passenger side on the Cherokee, moves up under the driver's side of the instrument panel on Grand Cherokee. Finally, the controls for the Grand Cherokee's headlamps and wipers are no longer serviceable components. They should be replaced with a new unit should they fail. Hey, Tom, what's the word look for?
I guess I'm just concerned about servicing this new Grand Cherokee. I mean, there seems to be so much...
Tom, weren't you the guy who was just commenting on how nice it was that your experience on the 4-liter engine could be put to use here? If you can handle the Cherokee engines, you can handle these. Even the DRB2 Diagnostics are the same. Just plug the unit into the connector located next to the powertrain control module, and you're in familiar territory. Same goes with the transmission and anti-lock brakes. The diagnostic connector for both those systems is under the instrument panel. Once you're hooked up, the procedure is the same as on 1992 vehicles. There was even a VideoTec release a few months ago to help with the Teva's anti-lock brake system. So where's the problem?
Well, not with those systems, but how about that airbag or the automatic temperature control system?
Let's cover the airbag first. Now, there's a lamp on the IP to alert customers of a problem. On a properly operating system, it should come on for about 7 seconds when the key is turned to the on position. The lamp will remain lit or not light at all if there's a problem with the system.
That's when it comes to us.
Airbag service is covered in the electrical section of the service manual, and it can be diagnosed using the DRB2. The diagnostic connector for the system is located under the passenger seat near the center console. Do not disconnect the battery prior to diagnosing the system with the DRB2. Otherwise, you could erase fault codes stored in the diagnostic module. Reach across and turn the key to the on position. Now, this will keep your body out of the path of the airbag in the unlikely event that there is a system malfunction.
That sounds like a good precaution to take.
Now you can read and record any stored faults in the system. The diagnostic test manual includes all the information you'll need. And don't forget to disconnect and isolate the battery before performing further airbag service.
Hey, when you eventually reconnect the battery, won't it cause the lights to flash and disable the starting circuit on Grand Cherokees with the vehicle theft alarm?
Yeah, but that can be solved by either cycling the key in the door lock or by using the keyless remote. And of course, don't forget to reset the electronic components that have had their memories erased. That's an important part of customer satisfaction with the job.
I feel better about the airbag, but there's still that automatic temperature control system.
You're tough to satisfy, Tom, but that's been taken care of too. The ATC was designed with onboard diagnostics for each input and output circuit in the system.
Sounds complicated.
It really isn't. To enter diagnostics, just hold down both the AC and recirculate buttons and rotate the control knob clockwise 1 click. As you hold the buttons down, the display will light up. Release the buttons and the test selector will display a 00. Now you're ready to select the appropriate test. To display fault codes, push either the AC or recirculate button. The stick figure will appear and the numbers displayed will range from 00 to 64. Record the fault codes and refer to the charts located in the heating and air conditioning section of the service manual. To clear faults, press and hold either the AC or recirculate button for 3 seconds. The faults have been erased when 2 bars appear in the display screen.
What happens if the battery's been disconnected?
The fault codes will have been lost, so make sure you perform your ATC diagnosis before servicing another component, like the airbag, that requires the battery to be disconnected.
How do I know if there's a problem in the first place?
The system will display an ER code when the key is initially cycled.
This system's really impressive.
There's more. Once in the diagnostic mode, you can test inputs, outputs, even actuate components for testing. And it's all done with the temperature control knob and 2 buttons.
Doug, I'm feeling more confident about the Grand Cherokee all the time.
That's good, because we need to meet our customers' high expectations for this new product. We can't afford to let them down.
So tell me how this Grand Cherokee plans on improving upon the Cherokee's drivetrain.
Well, you know that's a tall order. In fact, the same AW4 electronically controlled automatic transmission used on Cherokee has been chosen for use in the Grand Cherokee.
Why not? It's a proven component that gets the job done.
Exactly. Eventually, there'll be a 5-speed manual transmission available too.
I'm already familiar with the command and select track, but clue me in on this new transfer case you were talking about.
Well, you wanted to know how the Grand Cherokee was supposed to improve upon the Cherokee's drivetrain? Well, this is how. The new NP249 transfer case. It offers 4-wheel drive capabilities at all times.
So does the select track system. So what's the difference?
Well, the select track system uses a center differential that distributes torque at a 48-52 ratio front to rear. What the NP249 transfer case adds is a viscous coupling that allows it to increase the torque to the axle with the best traction at any given time. It's called QuadraTrack. And get this, it all happens without any input from the driver.
Can the driver feel these changes taking place?
All he feels is the best available traction on all conditions. Add a track lock differential to that, and you've got the ultimate in traction. Of course, not everybody needs all that kind of traction. So Grand Cherokee is available with a choice of 3 transfer cases: Command Track, Select Track, and the new QuadraTrack. Whichever you choose, you get shift on the fly capabilities, low gear for added oomph when the going gets tough, and a neutral position for recreational towing. They're all easily distinguished by the shift patterns and the ID tag attached to the case itself. They even use the same fluid.
What about the ride?
Remember those luxury features we talked about earlier? Well, ride is one of them. Grand Cherokee's longer wheelbase really helps smooth out the bumps. And when the going gets tough, well, we both know what the Quadra-Link front suspension can do.
It's been handling the rough stuff on Cherokee for years.
On Grand Cherokee, there's a new way of adjusting caster. Instead of shims, there's an adjustment cam for the lower suspension arm. In the rear, Grand Cherokee features something new, a link coil suspension. It combines coil springs with upper and lower suspension arms, track, and stabilizer bars. This helps stabilize the wheel throughout its range of motion. The result? The best ride we've ever been able to offer our customers. It also provides greater suspension travel and urethane jounce bumpers for when the going gets really tough.
And that off-road performance is important to our customers, too. This Grand Cherokee certainly is something special. I've got a feeling we'll be seeing a lot of these on the road. Hey, just one more question.
Yeah.
How do you know so much about the Grand Cherokee?
Let's just say I've done a little reading on the weekends. And I took the Grand Cherokee course at the Chrysler Corporation Training Center. You should too.
I think I will.